Whenever it turns green. Okay, we're live. So this is our final exam review, and your final exam is this Wednesday. And so make sure you've got your proctors, everything ready, everything in, and the final is going to be 12 pages long. So give yourself some time. Don't walk in and say, "Oh, I can do this in an hour." It might take you more than an hour. And the final exam is fairly comprehensive. It's different than the quizzes that you've looked at. The final exam includes what your quiz would have on it, but it also has translations, grammar questions, paradigms, a lot of things that you just have to be awesome at when you're doing the exam. So you'll begin with a page and a half of vocabulary, covering everything from chapters the beginning to wherever you guys ended. Where did you guys end, Joseph? Do you remember?
We ended in 21.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're responsible for all that vocab. The vocab on this exam, the way it differs from the midterm, is that this exam is only Greek to English. There is no English to Greek. So that's a little bit of a relief. And you'll have parsing, one page of parsing, which is just like you would on a quiz. I think there's more of them, but there's no inflected meaning. It's just parsing lexical forms. But you're responsible for everything: nouns, adjectives, verbs, your whole verbal system, everything. So. Grammar. There are multiple pages. I'd say there are about four, I don't know, a lot of pages of grammar. So grammar consists of things like, you had in class, you guys did a trivia review. And in class, that trivia review is really, hear me, is really going to help your grammar section, okay? And people like Shay Gregory took great notes and took pictures of his notes. So you may want to just, give him a hug and have him send you those notes. But,
he sent me his notes already.
Okay. Those notes are going to be very helpful for the grammar portion of this exam, okay? And I feel comfortable saying that because Briones himself is the one who gave the review. So he pretty much just said this is going to be on there. Boom. So you need to know those things. You need to know. Yeah, we'll just keep going. So you get several questions about some of the things he asked on that review. Things about adjectives, how they function, verbs, how are they made up, what are the different ideas of the verbs, how stuff about the relative pronoun and how those function. And these are all things that you're used to. And then he's going to start throwing some translation at you. And in that translation, you're going to have to translate, but then following the translation, you're going to have a lot of grammatical questions. Like, hey, can you parse the verb in the translation for me? Or how many deponent verbs are in the translation? Or how many future verbs are in the translation? Things like, what case is this relative pronoun in? Why is it in this case? Questions like that. So you're going to have to be able to articulate what's going on grammatically in the sentence in order to get those questions right. So you can't just know this is what's happening. You have to be able to articulate why it's happening. So you'll get several of those, and then there's a few more grammar, some questions about things you've learned, contractions, stops, stuff like that. And then you're going to get into paradigms, and you walk through in the paradigms exactly which paradigms you need to know in the review. So to be honest, it's all the paradigms that you've had up to this point. I would know the definite article. You just need to know it. That's an important thing. Know that paradigm. And then you've got all of your endings that you've worked on. Those are paradigms that he's just going to expect you to know on the final. And he did tell you flat out in class, know the three AME paradigms: the present, the future, and the imperfect. Right? Are those the three? Yeah, imperfect, future, and present tense AME paradigms. You just have to know those rote memory to be able to get them out. And of course, your most recent are your personal endings to your verbs. Those are the only paradigms that you really need to have clicking. And I think you did go over pronouns also in class. If he said to know that paradigm, the pronoun paradigm, know it well, be able to reproduce it. And there's more translations with more questions about what's going on in each sentence and why they're in the cases. And so you'll go through, you've got about, in these translations, 1, 2, 3, 4 big translations with about 4 or 5 grammatical questions per translation. And then there's a bonus of a big sentence translation that you can translate for extra credit. And so I guess it's actually an 11-page exam. Yeah. No, I think it's a 12-page exam. Yeah. So that's the way the exam is formatted. And so it's going to be a matter of us just making sure you understand all of that material. Brianna did tell me that next semester your quizzes are going to start looking more in depth. So your quizzes are going to start having translation, grammatical questions on them, inflected meanings for parsings and things like that. So just prepare yourself next semester for things to heat up just a little bit more week to week. That will prepare you better, I think, for the exams in the end. But yeah, so at this point, I'm going to actually hand everything over to you guys. What do you want to review and talk about for the final? And if your suggestion is stupid, I'm just going to say it's stupid, and you need to be able to read why it's stupid. Okay?
Third declension?
Third declension is a good one for us to go over, Sharon. That's a good question. So in the third declension, what do you want to know? Do you want to know the paradigm? Because that's really important.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I can study the paradigm. I guess I just have an issue with determining the difference between the 212 and the third. We're having a really hard time with that.
Having a hard time with the determining what now?
Determining the difference between the two, and like the ending being, you know, like in the alpha, or having that Omicron sigma ending. I don't know why I just cannot distinguish the difference between the two for some reason. Like, I'm killing it.
Okay. Do you write your paradigms out before you start your quiz or your exam?
Yep.
Okay. If you write them out, how are you getting confused?
I don't know. I guess I'm getting confused on, like, so say like the third, I guess singular, I think that is, with the
Hold
alpha.
on. What are you talking about? Third singular. Your third declension is for nouns, right?
I'm sorry. I'm not looking at anything. I'm driving, so I'm trying to think.
Okay.
But, okay, so the alpha ending, say like the plural accusative, right?
Okay.
No, that's not right. Yeah, plural accusative and the nominative accusative. Wait,
Yeah.
Neuter. So that has that alpha ending, and when I see that, like, I'm like, okay, which one is it? Could it be 212, or I don't know. I'm just having a hard time distinguishing the difference. Like, even in class the other night when we were doing that, I still was having a hard time distinguishing the difference.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
I don't know what I'm missing. I'm missing something, but I'm not figuring it out.
All right. Well, then let's go about it this way. And that's actually a good question to know about. In the end, it's not going to matter if you know the word is third declension or not. It's just going to matter if you can recognize the ending. But the way we're going about it, it's important. What makes a word a third declension? That's a good question. A really good question.
It's a consonant, right?
Say what?
It ends in a consonant, something like that.
Yes, it ends in a consonant instead of a vowel. So take the word agape. Agape ends in a vowel, so that's going to be a first declension word. But if you take a word like what's a good word? What's a good example? Sarks. That ends in a consonant, and so it is going to be third declension. So,
okay, thanks.
So anyway, yeah. So the third declension, knowing when a word is or isn't third declension, is in the end is not going to be overly important. You just need to be able to reverse engineer the word, and if the word ends with a consonant, you know it's third declension. If it ends with a vowel, it's not. And the alpha ending is on either. It should be on the second declension or the third declension.
Joseph,
Yeah.
isn't the best way? I mean, isn't one of the best ways, I guess, from what I remember us talking about maybe a couple weeks ago, to remember third declension, other than what you just said, is just literally to memorize the vocab words, and then their second like their genitive endings.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like pistis and pisteos?
Right.
Like you would know.
Pistis is its own animal. But,
yeah, I know. That one's totally weird, but
yeah.
Charis and Caritas.
There you go. Charis, Caritas. Yeah. That's helpful because if it gives you that full genitive,
yeah.
Then it's a third declension. So yeah, you're exactly right. I'm jumping into finding the paradigm really quick so that I can help talk about this. But shut the front door. Okay. Okay, here's the paradigm. Yeah, so Sharon brings up the alpha, which is one, I guess, where you would get confused. Because the alpha, when it's in the second declension and the neuter, we're talking about the neuter, nominative, and accusative plural. The alpha, when it's in the second declension, consumes the vowel, so it just ends with an alpha. The alpha in the third declension is just tacked on behind a consonant. But either way, they both end with alpha, so how do you determine the difference? And Joey's actually right, Sharon, that you just need to know your vocab. You have to know which word is which. But I'd say from the end of that, you should just know that if it ends in an alpha like that, there's a great chance, if it's not a feminine singular, great chance that it's a neuter, nominative and plural ending, or nominative accusative plural ending. So yeah, and whether that's third declension or second declension, you can know from your vocab. But yeah, knowing that entire paradigm, the paradigm in 10.14, knowing the entire paradigm of the endings, both second declension, first declension, and third declension, is going to be pretty important for this Wednesday. So you just need to be able to reproduce that. And the Haas telling the difference, Sharon, between the genitive singular in the third declension and the nominative singular in the second declension, because they both have Haas at the end, again, is a vocab thing. You just have to know your vocab word. So it's tough. A lot of times, though, the Greeks knew that that was an issue, and so when a third declension word is given, a lot of the times they give an article with it. Not all the time, but a lot of times they give the article with it. And in translation, when you're given the article, you just know what it is based on the article. You can cheat because it will give you a genitive article 2 with the word that ends in Omicron sigma, and you go, oh, that's a third declension genitive word. Because it's got that article, that genitive article on it. So that a lot of times will help. The good news is when you're actually parsing on an exam or something, your parsing doesn't have to reflect whether it's second, first, or third declension. So you don't have to actually give that information. So,
I have a question.
Yeah.
On page 83, where it shows the kind of the first, second, and third declension endings, I memorized the third declension endings the way they are here, like the saucy and aussie is how I remember it, eson, sinas. That's the first line. I have memorized basically the article paradigm, right? Ha, ta, tu, taste, tu, to, te, to, ton, te, to. And it's slightly different on the page 83. You know what I'm saying? Like, than it is with the article paradigm. Does that make sense what I'm asking? Do I need to know both of those things, like the slight nuance of difference? Like, so like the nominative masculine singular on the first declension paradigm on page 83 just has a sigma, and then the next box has nothing.
Right.
and then from there it kind of resumes the same pattern as the definite article paradigm. There's obviously a lot of overlap because does that make sense? The definite article paradigm is slightly different than this, but I've kind of been relying on my definite article paradigm to get me by.
Yeah,
for knowing my first and second declension.
Yeah, your definite article paradigm is definitely the most important one to know.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that that it's important to know the endings also.
Yeah, because the definite article can get you by for the first and second declension, but
for the first and second declension, you're exactly right. Yeah, the article can get you by. You need to just know the third declension endings.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. First and second declension, though, you're right. The definite article, you can work that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you, 100%.
Cool.
An important thing to note about the exam also. Is that every bit of your parsing will be verbal. So that's an important thing to know. Nope, I lied. Sorry, I lied. Not everything. Yep, not everything. Sorry, I lied about that. It's not all verbal. Don't take that and write it down. What about the square of stops? Are you guys comfortable with the square of stops?
Not really. I mean, that's one of the things that I kind of know, but I don't know it. Probably as well as I should. I'm kind of more when I'm doing the translation, I can kind of figure it out, but it's more of I think this is what's happening, and I happen to get it right. So I'm guessing it's really important that I have it memorized.
I gave you a box, and I said, Joey, give me the square of stops, exactly which letters they are and what they form when they come with an S. You wouldn't be able to produce that for me?
Probably not very much of it. No.
Okay, I really want you to be able to do that.
Okay. And that's on page 84.
Yeah, that's on page 84 and 85. So yeah, I mean, it's important to know for Greek. But I really personally want you to know how to fill in that box and how to, when you add an S, what it makes in each level. That's really good. That's good information. So did you guys have any questions? One of the questions I got a lot in class was about altos and the 3 ways that altos can function. Do you guys feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I honestly, of all of the different demonstratives and pronouns and stuff, altos seems the easiest because it's really similar to like the rules that adjectives follow, right?
Right.
So I was going to ask about like the utos and those are do we need to know, like, be able to write out the 3 uses of altos as a personal pronoun, as a adjective, adjectival, intensive?
Right.
And what's the last one?
What you want to write out is you need to be able to identify it. Can you tell me when you can know that altos is functioning as an identical adjective?
It's when it's usually in the nominative, and there's already a nominative that takes up the subject. So if you already have a subject you've identified, and then an altos is usually in the nominative, then it would be himself or itself or herself, right?
Well,
Is that what you're asking about?
That sounds like an intensive adjective, not an identical.
Oh, I was answering the wrong question then. Sorry.
Yeah. So how would you identify? Like, all right, let's take this for example. Let's take these phrases. Let me figure this out here. I'm going to write some down. Okay. If I gave you these three phrases and told you that each of these phrases was functioning in a different way, would you be able to identify them?
It looks like the first one is functioning as the intensive
Okay.
adjectival because it has the definite article. Adjectival intensive. Is that true?
No.
No?
No, the article with autos is always identical, not intensive.
Okay. The article with autos is always identical.
Always. If you see autos with an article, it translates the same. It literally means the same.
Okay. Gotcha.
Anytime it has an article, it means the same. Except for when it doesn't. But 99% of the time, it means the same.
Cool.
So
Okay.
when you see an article with autos, it's acting as identical.
Got it.
What else you got?
The first one is identical then.
Right.
So I guess I must have flipped it because so then when the subject has the article or the noun or the noun has the article, then it's our adjectival intensive, right?
Right.
Ha, doulos, autos. That would be adjectival intensive.
Right.
Right?
The slave himself.
The
servant
slave himself. Okay.
And then this one would just be attributive.
The middle one. Okay.
His servant.
His, yeah. Right.
Okay. It would just be a pronoun. It would just be a pronoun.
Yep.
That's all that is. This is intensive, this is a pronoun, and this one up here is identical.
And you can always tell when it's showing possession or by the ending, right? Because it's out to, you would know that it would be.
That's when it's a possessive pronoun, but also it's functioning as just a pronoun if there's no noun around it. If it's just autos, it would be.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That would be a pronoun then also. But if there's a noun that it agrees with, it can be functioning. If the noun has an article and it doesn't, it can be functioning as intensive. If it has the article, it's always functioning as identical.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
Know that. Be able to identify that.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is just know how to translate demonstratives. But I think on the review, he asked you a really helpful question. He said identify, I think it was something like identify the 5 elements of a verb.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that?
It's voice, tense, mood, person, number.
Good. Perfect. Yep, that's exactly right. Can you explain to me a liquid verb?
Jeez. Those were the hardest. Holy cow.
They are, yeah. What makes a liquid verb?
A liquid verb is there's 4 patterns of a liquid verb, I believe. No, that's the 4 patterns of a future verb, right? And one of them is liquid?
Right.
Okay. Right, okay. So yeah. So one of the 4 different patterns, the third rule, pattern 3 is the liquid feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it had something to do with the way the air flows. It's kind of like the square stops, right?
Okay, good. Yeah, they're called liquids because they let the air flow, right? So
Right.
What letters would make up a liquid verb?
Moo would.
Moo.
New, probably.
New.
Yeah. Is there others?
There's 2 more.
Row. I'm looking now.
Yeah, row.
True. Lambda row.
Yeah, lambda. So lambda, moo, new, and row.
Okay.
Are the 4. Now, when a verb ends, when the verbal stem ends in one of those letters, it's considered a liquid verb.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there in your future indicative chapter, and it walks through the liquid verbs and how they're formed in the future. Do you think you could explain that? What's happening?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, some of them I could. I just took the hint of looking for the dang it, what's it called? The same thing that tells you if it's a contract verb or not.
Okay, good.
That what's it called? I just like had a brain malfunction.
What do you
What
mean?
is the little? Whenever you look for a contract verb, you look for the little line that goes over.
Circumflex.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
The circumflex is one hint, right? If it's a verb and it has a circumflex, it's not always true, but there's a chance that it's a liquid.
Right, a liquid future, not a liquid present.
Right, a liquid future. Right.
Yeah. Now here, can you take this? This is a liquid verb right here, right?
Crino. Okay.
Yeah. The liquid verb because it has a new there. Can you put this in future form? Can you literally walk through what happens to this verb when you put it in future form? Actually, do third person singular future.
Third person singular future.
Yeah.
Okay, so since it ends with a new, then it's definitely going to be a liquid, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Probably going to need some help with this.
Okay, that's fine. Just think about how you would form it. Okay. So we know the omega is the present active ending, right?
Right.
So that's not part of the verb.
Right.
So crin is what we're working with, right?
Right. Crin. Yeah. That's
okay.
That's
now
the
in the future, what's the tense formative for the future liquid? What's the regular tense formative for future? How do you identify future?
If you find a sigma,
right.
So the sigma usually is the first thing you look for.
That's the tense formative for a regular future verb, but what about a liquid? Because it's really weird to have a sigma right next to a new, mu, rho, or a lambda. That's just hard to say. Ulz or news. It's weird. So they add a little something to that tense formative. What do they do?
I guess, okay. So I'm looking at the book trying to remember. This is probably the one thing that I needed the most help with. So.
Okay, good.
So it's helpful. This future, so you do the future tense stem plus the tense formative.
And the tense formative for a future liquid
is going to be, well, here is for this liquid, it's the epsilon sigma.
Right. They add an epsilon to the sigma to help you pronounce it.
Oh.
So all other futures are sigma, but a liquid needs an epsilon in there. So it changes its tense formative to an epsilon sigma.
Okay.
Now plus the ending. What's the ending for a third person singular?
A?
Right, so epsilon iota?
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on a second.
So you're just going to combine them and then contract them.
Okay, tell me what happens here. This is what I did. Okay, I've got crin, I've got the tense formative, and I've got the ending. And that produces crinesse. But that we know that's not what happens. What actually happens?
Yeah, some stuff has to drop out.
Right, you remember the sigma's a sissy, right?
Right.
When it gets between two vowels, it just acts like a sissy and it runs away.
Right.
So what we end up with is...
The sigma and one of the epsilons have to drop out.
Well, not yet. Hold on a second. You're getting ahead of me.
Okay.
But the sigma, like a sissy, runs away. And so now we're left with crin A.
Right.
But we know that we have a contraction here and one of them drops out.
Right.
And so we just end up with, and to show that that contraction, we have to put a little circumflex over it, and we end up with crine with a circumflex.
Right.
And that circumflex tells us it's future because there used to be a sigma that, like a sissy, ran away, there was some contracting going on, and we ended up with this.
Yep. So really, you just in that case with crine versus just crine without the circumflex is the only indication because of the contraction that happens that it is future.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And the fact that when you look at it and you go, wait a minute, that's a nu there. That looks like a liquid to me. Something freaky's going on. And plus, I don't know the word crineo from my vocab. I do know crino.
Crino,
But I don't
not
know
crino.
crineo. So it can't be a present contract verb. With
So let me ask you, like, so on the quiz this last week, can you hear me okay? Might be breaking up.
Yeah.
Okay. On the quiz last week, we had minnow, and then we had minnow with the circumflex over the
Right.
alpha. I'm sorry, the omega. And that was how I was able to distinguish that one was future and one was just present.
Right, right.
But I probably couldn't have done the breaking down of what you just did. So I probably need to be able to break it. I just knew because, it has the circumflex, and since
Okay, I want you to change your statement. It's not that you probably need to learn how to break it down. But by this Wednesday,
Learn to break it
know
down.
how to break it down.
Okay, good.
Okay? So
Yep.
if I were to say to you, Joey, use the word crino and explain to me in your own words how to make it a future verb and explain to me what happens, I would love for you to be able to articulate that.
Okay, got it.
I mean, that would just be awesome. It'd make me feel like I'm doing my job well.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. So I like the sissy. The sissy runs away. The epsilon
Yeah,
has to drop
Sigma's a
out.
sissy, man.
Got it.
And Tal needs a tampon. Wow, that was bad. Okay, here we go.
It's funny.
So, you know all those contractions, that we just talked about, 2 epsilons together, 2 omicrons together, epsilon omicron, omicron epsilon, alpha omicron, what those produce? Those are
Yeah,
good.
like the big 5. Is that what you're talking
the
about?
big 5. Yeah, the
Yeah.
big 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's important.
Okay.
So, I mean, you just got a lot of work ahead of you as far as making sure you know this stuff, but for the most part, you got it. Not a thing.
Right.
If you're up on your paradigms, all those paradigms we talked about, at that point, the only thing that can trip you guys up that I can't do a ton to guide you with is the translations. Translate and know the grammar questions of what's happening in a sentence. So if you want, we can go over some of that stuff. Like I can give you
Some of the translation stuff.
Yeah, we can translate a sentence, and I can ask you some of the types of questions that's going to be asked on the exam.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, if you have your workbook, we're going to flip on over to page, let's say page 208.
Okay, I'm there, dude.
All right. Let's look at number 2 right there. Can you translate number 2 for me?
All right. Find the verb. Poiusin is the verb.
Okay.
The root is, or the lexical form is poieo, which is I do make. So, and there's a circumflex, which could indicate it's a future, depending on how the word breaks down.
But we know, since we know the vocab poieo, we know it's a contract verb, and so this is just, it's in the present, it's just contracting.
Right,
Only
okay.
in the future if it's a liquid.
Right, okay. So yeah, this is a third person plural, a verb.
Right,
the ending.
good.
So, be would be how right?
Say that again. You
They-
broke up.
They believe would be how you translate this if there's not a if the verb carries the subject.
Not believe.
Oh, sorry, they are believing.
No, you already told me what that word means. It's
Oh,
not-
sorry, yeah. Poieo means do make, yeah. So they do or are doing.
Right.
And I don't see any other ending indicate that there's a subject. So I think that the subject in the verb, it looks like to me based on the endings.
Right.
So and then T with the accent means who, what, which, why. So this is a question because of the
Good.
So who are they? Maybe or who are they might be a way that it begins. Who
Okay.
are
We'll
they?
keep that open. Yeah.
Keep it open. Okay. Tois sabasin.
Okay.
Sabasin. Ha uk exesten. It is lawful. Exesten. So this is the Sabbath, right?
Right.
And it's in the plural. The in the plural
You sound like a robot, Joey.
because of the
We're dropping people.
plural. But it's the third declension word, right?
Right. Yeah. Sabaton is a third declension word.
Cole is telling me that it's a dative plural. So
It is. Yes.
okay. So that'd be Sabbaths, I guess. You could translate that as
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I mean, Sabbath itself, it's kind of one of those weird ones.
Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's one of those. So Sabbath. Then moving on, the ha has an accent and a rough leading mark right before uk. So that would be
Yeah,
who or whom, right? Translated.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah. Or what, which, who. Yeah. What, which, who.
Yeah.
Can you parse that relative pronoun for me?
Oh, the one I just mentioned. That's in the nominative.
Okay. Can you give me more?
Nominative masculine, singular.
Okay. Don't get caught here, Joey. It's definitely not masculine.
It's not masculine.
No, the reason you're saying it's masculine is because it looks like the masculine article.
Yes, it does.
But in the relative, you need to keep it separate. Has is actually masculine.
Ah, that's right. So this is going to be neuter.
Right.
Yeah. I remember now. Yeah.
Okay, it's neuter, and the reason that's important, the reason I tell you that, is because in the neuter, keep in mind that it can be either nominative or accusative. So you need to you need to take some time to figure out which one. I don't want you just jumping to think it's nominative because it looks masculine. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So hold on one quick second.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, this is Justin. Hey, I'm actually recording tutoring right now. Can I call you back in like 15, 20? I'm sorry, man. Bye, buddy. Bye. All right, we're trying to get your exams out for this week, so I had to take that call.
Oh, nice. No worries.
Mike is doing a good job with all that. All right, so here's the thing: is that you got to remember that is neuter, and it can be either nominative or accusative. So you want to hold back judgment until you figure out how it's functioning.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Ook, it means not, so
Right.
that phrase would say it is not lawful.
Right.
So this phrase could be what is not lawful, or
Good.
which is
Good.
not lawful.
Good.
Correct?
Yes.
Would that be like a relative? Would there be a way to describe that clause?
Yeah, that is a relative clause.
Relative clause. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
and that verb is your relative clause verb. It cannot be the main verb of the sentence.
Okay.
Yeah. So you gotta watch that. That verb is in the relative clause, so it cannot be the verb of the sentence.
Yeah.
It has to stay within that. So
That which is lawful. Okay. Or which is not lawful, which is not lawful. So sorry, I'm writing some stuff down to see how it would translate. So it would be something like who are they doing
try why.
why, that would be better. Why are they doing what is not lawful? And then since it's in the dative, you would have to add the keyword on.
Good.
On the Sabbath, right? Question mark.
Yep. Why are they doing on the Sabbath what is not lawful? Good.
Why are they doing? Is it appropriate in translation to flip? Could you flip the Sabbath? And does it matter where the Sabbath goes based on words?
Well, not in this sentence, but yeah, you absolutely do have that liberty in translation.
Yeah, right.
But whenever you're able to keep the word order, I'll just tell you from exegesis and stuff, whenever you're able to keep the word order and it still makes sense in English, try to do so.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It'll help you as a translator think through what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was helpful.
So why are they doing on the Sabbath what is not lawful?
Got it.
Okay. Now let me ask you a few grammatical questions that might be similar to the things you might see on the exam.
Okay.
Okay. Can you tell me the case of Sabbasin?
That's in the dative plural, and it's a third declension.
Can you tell me why it's in that case?
Why is it in that case in the sentence?
Yes, why is it in that case?
It's in the dative because it is acting as the indirect object in the sentence.
Finish it. Yeah, it's acting as the indirect object of what?
Of they, or the poiusin.
Of the verb poiusin.
The verb which carries the noun.
Right.
Okay. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's in the dative because it's functioning as the indirect object of the verb poiusin.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, that's good phraseology. Think like that. Now let me ask you, can you parse for me ha?
Yeah, that's in the nominative neuter singular.
Okay. Why is it in that case?
Because it's introducing a relative clause, and let me see. I guess existin. Well, that's a verb, right? So verbs don't carry gender. Yeah, I don't know. Because I guess I'm really uncomfortable on the has, hey, ha. Those are another one that I was kind of a little rough on.
Okay.
In how they translate. So ask me the question again as I.
Okay, my question is, you said it's in the nominative case.
Right. It's in the nominative.
My question is, why is it in that case?
Because this is a relative clause.
Okay.
And in the relative verb, that would not be a part, like you said earlier, they would not be a part of they wouldn't be your main verb of the sentence. So it has to be if it's a relative clause, it has to be in the nominative case to introduce it.
No, relative clauses get introduced all the time with accusatives, with everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's my question. We know that a relative pronoun, it agrees with its antecedent. How? Do you know what I mean when I say antecedent, Joey?
It's the no. I guess is it the word right before it?
No, that
No?
that actually makes logical sense. So I'm with you on that. But the antecedent is the word that it's replacing. As a pronoun, it is standing in for something else.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so what it's standing in for is actually the antecedent. So can you tell me what the antecedent of this is?
It's they.
No,
No.
no, because you need to be able to replace it. So why are they doing on the Sabbath? They
Oh,
are
I
not
see.
lawful. That doesn't make sense.
It's the antecedent is Sabbath.
No, the antecedent is probably the things they're doing.
Why are
So
they doing?
why are they doing on the Sabbath? And then you could put the things that they're doing that are not lawful.
Hmm.
So why are they doing what is not lawful? So what is pointing back to the things that they're doing.
They are doing.
Right.
Okay. So
Okay.
it's
It has to be a
okay.
noun. It can't be a verb. So it's whatever those things are.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to agree with its antecedent in case. It has to agree with its antecedent in number and gender. So I guess it'd be the thing that they're doing. And but the case is determined by a different reason. How is the case of a relative pronoun determined?
The case of a relative pronoun.
Yeah, and what I'm wanting to hear is by its function in the relative clause.
Okay. Yeah.
So relative
I gotcha.
pronoun, it receives its number and its gender from the antecedent, whatever it's replacing, but its case is determined by how it's functioning in the clause.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if it were the object of exestin, which unfortunately that's a bad example, but if it were the object of the verb, it would actually be in the accusative case. Even if it came up front, it would take its case by how it's functioning in the clause.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I ask you, this is in the nominative case, why is it in that case? You need to be able to articulate why it's in this case. So why is it in the nominative?
Say it again.
When I ask you why is this relative pronoun in the case it's in, you said the nominative. Why is it in that case? You need to be able to articulate something along the line of nominative because it's functioning as the subject of the verb existent in the relative clause.
Because it's functioning as the say that again.
It's functioning as the subject of the verb in the relative clause. And that's why it's in the nominative. Now, if it were in the accusative, you would say it's functioning as the object of the verb in the relative clause. And that would be why it's in the case it's in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah, so you need to be able to articulate those questions.
Yep.
You know? Like if you've got just an accusative that I'm asking why is this an accusative, you need to be able to say because it is the direct object of the verb whatever. And that's why it's in the accusative. So those are the grammatical questions that are going to be difficult to answer. So what I suggest doing is as you're doing your reviews and you're going through and you're translating a little bit, force yourself to answer some of those questions.
Okay.
As you're translating, say, why is it in this case? And can you answer the question? Can you say, this is why it's in that case?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's helpful. Yeah, that was one of those double chapter weeks we did, like after Thanksgiving. And so it was like double cramming. So I really feel really rough on the relative pronouns. So I'm going to have to go back and reread that chapter for that same reason. Okay, that was helpful.
Okay, let's get back to number 1 really quick.
Okay.
And translate number 1 for me, and I'm going to ask you grammatical questions.
Okay. Okay, so this is going to be like a Lord, Lord. It's a quote because if you go to the vocative there, and there's a question mark, so it's a question. There's quotes here. Kalete is the verb that introduces the quotation, which is based on kaleo, which is I call. The ending, o ase, et, second person singular.
Hold on. Do that again. Say that again.
I said it's second person singular.
Okay, I don't think I agree with you.
Let's see. So it would be kaleo is the lexical form. So I'm
Right.
gonna write this out. And then and then there's a.
If it were second singular, I'd be looking for an ending like ace.
Yes. Is it second plural? That's what I meant to say.
It is second plural. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured mine just got it flipped.
Yeah. You're right. I did. So second plural. So it would be like you are saying.
But yeah, and you've got that t at the beginning, and you see the punctuation at the end. This is a question.
But why are you saying to me?
Right. But why are you saying or calling out?
Is that how you translate it?
Yeah, why are you saying to me?
Okay, but why?
Yeah. Or why do you say to me?
So let me ask you this before we continue. The continuous versus as saying versus what's the other? That doesn't have like it's not emphasizing continuous. It's just that you're doing it.
Yeah, it's completed.
Completed.
Continuous versus completed. Okay.
Does it matter in the present active indicative? Does it matter how we translate it? Like, because it seems like that's kind of like a back and forth every time I translate. It's either but why are you saying or why do you say? It seems like both are right. They're
both continuous, right?
Yeah, they're both continuous, right?
Okay. Yeah.
One's defined, and one's undefined.
Right. Yeah. And so they both represent a present verb in continuous. It's just how you want to. I mean, Mounts recommends that you do your best by adding the gerund or whatever and trying to really list out that it's continuous so that you understand the verbal aspect.
Right.
But you can say, why do you say? That's fine. Matter of fact, that's how every translator is going to translate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But why do you say to me? And then quotation, and curie is evocative, so just direct address, which it means Lord, Lord, based on kurios is the lexical form. So Lord, Lord, and then comma, and poiete ha lego. And this is the same exact word, the same verb, based on poieo. Third person singular. Second person's singular. Second person plural. It's exactly the same. It matches the other ending of kalete, poiete. So, second person plural, and not do. Not do. Interesting. That's in the accusative. The Lego. So that means that it's going to be right. Accusative. So that's going to show an ownership of this. That means Lego is going to be in the accusative.
Well, hold on. What is Lego?
Words. Oh, no, that
doesn't look like a noun ending to me. I see an omega there. I don't see a subscript or anything.
It's a verb. It's a verb. Yeah. Sorry. Lego is I say, I speak, and not. And this is, I guess, another relative clause.
Yes, you're right.
because it's set up exactly like the number 2 was.
Yeah.
So this relative pronoun is in the accusative because it's introducing, because it's acting as the subject for Lego, which is the verb of this relative clause.
Okay, if it's acting as the subject, it has to be in the nominative.
Oh yeah, it's not acting as the subject, right? It's acting as the direct object.
Right. So
Yes.
in this relative clause, ha is acting as the direct object of Lego.
Yes. Okay.
That's why it's in the accusative. Good job.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
So
Okay, now my question is, Joey, that you got poete there and you got Lego, and both of those are verbs.
hmm
How do you know which verb you need to write on?
The poiete is the main verb of the sentence because it's not being introduced by this relative pronoun that is in the accusative.
Good. Lego is the verb of the relative clause, which cannot be the main verb of the sentence.
Okay. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
So it has to be the main verb. The main verb of this has to be poiete
Right.
for that reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
And poiete is actually poiete is still a subverb to the main verb kalete.
Right. Right. Okay.
But it's a quotation. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
the main verb of that quotation sentence. Yes. Okay. Perfect, man. Does that
Sweet.
help?
That's good. So then it would be translate that would it be and not do what? Which I say? That I say?
Well, I think if you wanted to keep the presence, it would be something like, why do you call out to me, or why are you calling out to me, or why are you saying to me, Lord, Lord? But because Kai can be a contrast of but are not doing what I say or am saying.
Okay, got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Question. Okay, very good. That's helpful.
Okay. Does this help to think about this?
Oh man, so much. I mean, I really felt like I had a grasp on things before Thanksgiving, but whenever we started doing the double chapters,
right, I
was telling Kate this. I feel like so much more foggy on everything since Thanksgiving because I was just cramming double amount of stuff. So pretty much any of this stuff that we can cover, the relative pronouns and also the demonstrative stuff, like the ekinos and autos, that I'm still trying to get, the this, these, that, those, that kind of stuff. Still trying to get a handle on that stuff as well. So.
Okay.
Okay, do we need to cover any of that? Do you want to go over some demonstrative stuff?
Maybe so. I mean, maybe some of that's chapter 13. If we could kind of do the same thing with a little bit of just a flyover, maybe just do a translation or two from chapter 13, that might be helpful for me.
Absolutely, let's do it. Let's go to page 204 and do number 5.
Okay. Sweet. Notice, okay. Eumace is a we plural. I remember that from our vocabulary. Or, I'm sorry, you plural, not we plural. Hey mace would be we plural.
Right. That's the difference. They have two different letters. Yeah.
It'd be the upsilon versus the eta.
Right.
But it has exactly the same ending after that, right? Okay.
Right. Yep.
So you plural. Yeah, this is crazy. So, ek tutu tu cosmu este. And then, well, I guess we'll just do the first part of the ego uk emi ek tu cosmu tutu. Tutu. I guess. So that's a demonstrative. So it's going to be like that, or is it this? This?
Why is it this and not these?
Oh, it would have to be these. You're right. If it was
don't just give in to me. You're actually right. It is this. I'm asking, why is it this and not these?
I say I have no idea. I haven't memorized the.
Okay. Well, simply because you can parse it for me.
This is accusative.
Tutu?
No, it's not. It's in the genitive.
Okay,
Because
genitive.
it's exactly. I think what's throwing me off is the fact that it's the same word again and again. So I'm like, I have to remember that it's just a normal definite article ending.
Your win is the ending. Yeah,
right,
just go to the end.
Yeah, it's in the genitive singular.
Okay, since it's singular, it has to be this because these would be plural.
Right.
Yeah.
This. Okay. And
So,
and genitive plural would be to tone then, right?
Yes, you're right. Yep.
Okay. Okay. You got it. That makes sense. You may. It doesn't even look like there's a verb in this first half at all.
You don't see one at all?
You may ek to. No, there's este.
Yeah, that looks like a verb to me.
Amy a este. So this is third. That's a part of the Amy prime. This is third person singular of Amy. So this would be he, she, it.
Yeah,
it.
I wouldn't say third person
Amy
singular.
a este.
Think about your subject, and it should help you out.
Yeah, so it's you plural. So this is also going to be
second person plural. Right. Good job.
Amy Estin Esmin Este. Yeah, Asen. Got it. Okay. So second person plural. You are.
Right.
So you are. Ek. Is ek in?
No, that would be N.
That's right. What does ek translate as? Ek.
From, out of.
From, out of. Yes. Okay. I need to polish up on the early vocab. You're from, and then to, cosmu is also in the genitive.
Mm-hmm.
So you are from this world.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, because that's a prepositional phrase. The ek introduces the preposition.
You're right.
Ego, uk, emi, ek, tu, cosmu, tutu. So you have exactly the same phrase here at the end. From this world, again, because it's the same in the genitive. So the ending of this next section will be from this world.
Right.
So ego, I am not from this world.
Right.
Right? I am not from. So the whole sentence is, you are from this world. I am not from this world.
Good. Can I ask you a grammatical question?
You may.
Okay. How is your demonstrative functioning?
It is functioning. Let me see. It's since it's in the genitive, it's functioning as it's showing possession of the subject.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. But what I want to know is, like, what is it doing? That actually, sorry, that's bad. The demonstrative can function in three different ways. It can either be a regular demonstrative pronoun, it can be an adjectival attributive, or it can function as just a weak pronoun, he, she, it.
Right.
So how is this one functioning?
Adjectival pronoun.
Good. So it's functioning adjectively.
Yes.
It's modifying the noun cosmu, right?
Yep, it is, right. And it has, and I know that because it matches in the case the ending is the same.
Case,
right?
number, and gender. Yep.
Yeah.
So tell me, why is to cosmu in the genitive?
Because the phrase that it's introducing, the prepositional phrase this, or the phrase this world, is modifying, since it's in the genitive, it's showing possession of Isn't it possessive? It's
Generally, genitive is possessive, but I'm asking you specifically why to cosmu is in because when you translated that, you didn't translate it possessive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to you're right. That is possessive. It's attributive. But you said you are from this world. I didn't hear you say you are from of the world or you are
Right.
you are the world's.
Right.
But it says you are from this world. You didn't translate it genitive. Why is it in the genitive?
Right.
You can tell me when you want me to get.
I don't know.
I'm not trying to hurt you.
No, you're fine. This is helpful.
Okay.
I mean, because it's modifying. It's since it's acting as an adjectival intensive. It has to replace cosmu or emphasize cosmu. I don't know. Tell me the right answer so I can write it down.
Okay. To cosmu is in the genitive because it is the object of the preposition ek. And ek takes its object in the genitive. So Joey, that's why you learned all of the prepositions and you learned them in the different forms. In the genitive, in the dative.
Yeah.
These is what they mean because when they take their nouns in that form, they mean something different.
Yep.
So to cosmu is in the genitive not because it's showing possession, but because it's simply the object of the preposition ek, and ek demands it's in the genitive.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
So I need to remember, especially in the prepositional phrase, when it takes its object in.
Especially when you see a preposition, what follows is generally it's in that case because of that preposition a majority of the time.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Very helpful.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Anything else you can think of you need some work on?
No, man, I think that's good for me. I probably need to run personally, but that really gives me a lot of helpful, concrete things to study.
All right, man. If you need help with anything, just my number. You got my Voxer.
Yep, I'll Vox you.
I just want to emphasize what you just said, Joseph, that, Joe, if you go to page 58, it'll re-emphasize what Joseph just said about the phraseology of it's in that case because the preposition takes the genitive or whatever. So if you go to page 58, that will help you.
8.7 and 8.8, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I see that. I'm on that page right now. Okay.
Thanks, Kate.
Good.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. Okay, good.
You did very well. I think you'll do exceptionally well on the exam.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Kate.
You're going to do great.
You are.
Thanks.
Know those things, man. Know your vocab. Get your vocab down. You're good to go.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate it.
Let me know if you need anything.
Okay, I will. Thanks a bunch. I'll talk to you soon.